All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are going to check out a new game that just got revealed, I guess, back on the 16th. Looks interesting. It's called The Blood of Dawnwalker game reveal event. So we're going to check out this game, Blood of Dawnwalker. Seems to be like an RPG vampire game with some in-depth world building and things like that. So let's take a look at this and see what it's all about. I know nothing about this game going into it, so let's take a look and see.
Blood of Dawnwalker.
The Blood of Dawnwalker is the first chapter of a brand new role-playing saga. It's a dark fantasy, narrative-driven, epic adventure set in medieval Europe with a supernatural twist.
Medieval Europe, so it's a medieval vampire game.
Truly unique experience for you guys. A game that we have been dreaming
Let's
about.
see.
That sounds like
They sure are dressed fancy. I'll give them credit. Like, they're super fancy looking.
Things to come tonight, and I know everyone here is really excited to share this all for the very first time. But for everyone at home, you're probably wondering, well, what does that mean for us? Well,
what does that mean for us?
More about the lore, and
so this is about a 40-minute video. So we'll see how far we can get into this video.
Game as well, but it's not just any trailer, right?
It's not just some random trailer. It is actually the game's opening, setting up the stage for the whole game. It shows this one.
They're going to show us the trailer, which hopefully does good what a trailer does and gives you an explanation of the world.
I can't wait
the characters
to see
in it,
well the
rules of the world, because that's an important part of every game is the rules of the world.
In the reveal campaign so far, they've been incredible.
Oh yes, tell me about it. Discord, you guys are mind-blowing.
All right, stop talking and play the video already.
Incredible, but soon we're going to throw it over to a bunch of the devs, and you're going to dive further into the world of Dawnwalker. You're going to learn more about the characters.
Like, the zoom in on their faces is super fucking annoying.
Then
like,
we're going to weave in a few
I'm sorry, but they're talking too much
for the game itself.
For a game reveal.
I've been listening to them non-stop, and they are incredible, right? Lastly, make sure you stick around all the way through, because we also have a
go.
but very real gameplay teaser as well.
Yes, and it is an actual look at the state of the game as it is right now.
Like, they changed the camera angle, but they're not looking at the camera. That's bugging the shit out of me.
Up on your comments, so make sure to drop all your thoughts or your impressions.
Like, if they're going to change the camera angle, they should be looking at the camera.
Mati are already there with you.
That's just like a standard thing they do when they change camera angles.
For now.
Yes, that's it for now.
Let's get into the mood with some music. And
cool, reveal the game.
Director, Konrad Tomaszkiewicz, and our narrative director.
Oh, that's a fucking mouthful there.
About how it all began.
That's right, friends. The time has finally come. Sit back.
Oh, geez, about fucking time.
And get ready to experience.
Mind you, I skipped ahead a bunch of this because there was a lot more prior to this. I mean, if you look at this, I skipped ahead by almost. Well, we probably watched a minute of that, by 2 or 3 minutes of just them talking. Anyways, let's get back to this. So this is obviously not in-game, or at least it doesn't appear to be in-game to me. Maybe it is. Well, it looks like a CG trailer, right? So CGI. Okay, so we have some things and stuff and things and oh, it is real. Well, you never know in today's world when they don't give you straight up fucking angles. Okay, so I get they're trying to build the atmosphere for this game reveal. The problem is we're almost 6 minutes in and we have not seen anything about the game yet. They've talked about it, but if you're doing a game reveal, like, and I don't mind this kind of stuff in game reveals, but like, you need to break it up. We just had 4.5 minutes of talking. Now they're doing a song, which is fine. They could have done that somewhere else, or like had the gameplay going as this was going. I'm sorry, but this is done in poor taste, in my opinion. It's not. It's shot decently. Like the camera work's not bad. It's the presentation of the whole thing when do we get to talking about the game? This is fucking stupid because at this point, it's already making me not want to keep watching it. I'm going to keep watching it, but it's not making me want to. There's no point in having all this shit in here when you're not even revealing the game. And I get it. They're trying to set the tone, do all that. This should have like trailers or something playing. If they want to go back to these people, they could. That would be fine. But like, make it about the goddamn game. Because when you're 7+ minutes into the trailer or into the presentation and you haven't even shown one bit of the game yet, like not even like art from the game. You're focusing on people talking, and then you're focusing on people playing their instruments. They did not read their audience very well, in my opinion. Are we going to get gameplay now? Are they going to transition into gameplay? World building?
I decided to open the Rebels company.
No, we're going to get a history lesson on the development company.
There is a huge space for innovation and for evolution in the open world RPGs. And to achieve that, you need to have independent.
I'm sorry, but I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it cinematic and make it feel like it's like the game's a part of the world and the world's a part of the game, but like you're failing.
Do you remember the second Fallout from '98?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite games ever, and I was so excited.
This is no.
Because
I'm sorry, but like
now,
whatever the gameplay is, better be amazing.
The promise and the value
and the concept better be amazing.
Computer RPGs. And to combine it with modern graphics, with bleeding edge tech,
almost 10 minutes into a presentation,
combat, merge these two together and see what comes
and
out.
you haven't even shown the game yet at all.
And of course, we will not do the post-apocalyptic game.
And I guess I could have skipped through it, but at the same hand, it's like
Fallout is the.
I don't want to miss anything.
You could do there whatever you want. You exit the vault. You have the
like I get
in front of you.
They're trying to relate it back to Fallout. How Fallout lets you do what you want. Fallout 2 in particular is what they're talking about.
Do that. You just.
But you can kind of do whatever you want, build your own story.
And
which is what he just said. But
your own experience and
which is fine. That's a good thing to do. Good thing to relate it to. But to be perfectly honest, they're being incredibly long-winded.
The most.
And not revealing the game.
The choices, the freedom, non-linearities, and I think
reveal the game.
It's truly unique to video games. Like you can't emulate that in any other medium. So I'm so glad that we are making a game that sets out to explore that space and see what new is to be done there. So that's great.
Also, if you will add to that the sense of urgency.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll bet you if I go watch this, if I go look at the comments for this thing, you're gonna see people shitting on it because they don't show gameplay for. I mean, we're 10 minutes in right now. It's a 45-minute presentation.
No, I get
so we're a quarter of the way through approximately, right? They haven't shown one piece of the game yet.
RPGs where players can become distracted and kind of get away from the main story. So finding a way.
So I get, like, I get building up to it, but like build up to it faster. We live in a very, very short attention span society now, almost across the board, especially when you're talking about gaming. This is not working.
At the day and different loop at the night.
I get it. It's beautiful structures and all this stuff and these old castles, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd love to go see it, but you're not presenting things in a good way, in my opinion. So we're almost 11 minutes in before we get the actual trailer. From the director of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Okay, well, that at least is one good thing. Carpathians. So we're up in the hills in Europe. I don't know where the Carpathians are. I don't know fucking shit.
Must be here.
The burning of the village. We're getting a CGI trailer, which is expected if it's a first reveal trailer. I mean, it very much has a Witcher vibe, like from the way the buildings look. That's not really that hard. That's a fantasy vibe.
It's all right.
Uh-oh, he's been found. Oh, shit. Okay. Whoa.
Gave us quite the chase, young.
Please, sir.
I was under the impression she was a baby. Like, she looks like a kid.
Roderick,
Well, a kid, yeah.
did I make an exception for children?
No, sire.
No. That would have been foolish, would it not? They spread the plague just as well as adults.
Just as
There's
well as
only
adults.
one way to stamp out this sickness. No! Not just a runner, but a fighter, too. Had we met under a different moon,
So, and I think they said when they were talking before they played the song that this is the lead up. This is like basically the opening cinematic. Okay, so there's a bunch of vampires attacking, which actually appear kind of diverse amongst like different races and things like that. And they have some sort of like ghosting ability. They have blood abilities. It looks like blood, like the ability to pull people with their blood or can manipulate blood, I guess.
Lunka.
Lunka. They're feeding. So are they there to help him?
She needs help. Fast. Please, let us pass through. I beg of you. Please. Please.
He's gonna turn her. So he is helping her. And she healed. You notice her face was healing as she was drinking.
How?
I am life. I
am life.
I am everything.
I like this concept
I have been
if you're able to be a vampire and have vampire abilities.
famine. Killing.
Like a vampire tree of some kind where you can use the different abilities or build yourself a different whatever.
Things will be different now. For all of you.
Things will be different now. The world needs what it fears. Okay, I'm intrigued by the trailer, since we finally got the goddamn trailer. The Blood of Dawnwalker. I don't like that title. It just doesn't roll well.
So the game takes place 2 years after the events shown in the intro, and this is just the beginning of a greater saga we were planning. So we get to meet the character at the beginning of his adventure, which I think is really cool. And Cohen in general is so much fun to write and flesh out because he's not your typical game protagonist. He's not a grizzled veteran who's seen it all.
Okay, so we'll play as a main protagonist, so it's not a create your own character, which is fine. I have nothing against that. Sometimes those are the best games.
He's a young guy who, at heart, is emotional. He can get vulnerable. He's honest about how he feels.
What I love in Cohen is that he'll be never a superhero. He'll be never overpowered. At the day, as a human, he can fight with a sword. He can use and discover dark magic, but he can be killed by anyone. At the night, he encountered a lot more difficult enemies. He can use some vampiric abilities.
So is he a vampire, though?
He can use it to explore the world and to see the world in a totally different way.
Is he a vampire, or is he just a human that has the ability to use these powers?
Enemies.
Like, that's what I want to know.
Who decided to take over the world, turn it upside down, and set the rules. And they are led by this super old and immensely powerful vampire called Brensis.
Brensis.
Our game is set in 14th century Europe, and it's a world in deep crisis. First, the continent has been ravaged by the plague, then wars, and now famine. And
Like, I
all the
wanna
while,
know-
vampires have been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And finally, when humanity is at its lowest,
I want to know how the
they come
gameplay
out of the
works.
shadows,
The story's
they
great. Like, I
overthrow
want to know the
evil
story
lords,
too,
and they move into their castles.
but they're not revealing anything about the gameplay mechanics of any kind. And as much as I want a good story, I want to know how the mechanics work.
Vampires ruling the world is not necessarily the bad thing. Feudal lords in that time killed the whole villages to prevent, the plague. And the vampires, they defend Cohen and his sister. They even healed Lunka. And, I know that people need to pay taxes in blood, but it's not a huge cost.
They pay taxes in
Save a
blood.
good
Okay,
life.
that I can get behind that concept.
Vampires' favors are uncertain. And sure, they protect the people of the valley where the game takes place, but they see them as cattle. So they protect them to then lead them and ultimately kill them. And the blood tax you mentioned, it's taken from everyone, the frail, the weak, the old. Each week they have to convene at the church for a blood mass. So for some people, that's deeply traumatizing or might even end up in them dying. So in the end, I'd say the balance is more or less equal. And that's something that I actually really like about our setting, this world, that nothing is
Yes, now
simple.
show
Nothing
me
is black
gameplay and
versus
stop
white.
talking about it. Why I
And
sit
you
there and
have
see
to
these two
decide
guys, the lead
yourself,
developer and the
what
narrative
do I think is
director,
the
talk
right
about
choice?
it.
What is the path I want to take and what is the path I want to avoid? And ultimately, Cohen's family ends up in the dungeons of the Vampire Lord. And even as Cohen is trying to free them, he will meet people who still support the regime.
It's even more challenging for players because Cohen has only 30 days and 30 nights to save his family.
So 30 days, 30 nights in game, right?
Sandbox means gameplay freedom. In our, it means narrative freedom. We don't think about the quest like the main quest or the side quest. We just have quests. Players will craft their experience through the game by themselves, and nobody will have the same. And we call
Well, so many make
that's
that
the thing that
claim
really
in gaming
excites me,
that
because that
they'll
means
have their
that,
own
to
experience,
play
and
for
maybe
so
they
many
really will,
identical,
but like,
it's
I have
each
never
player
seen a
will
game that
have
fully pulls it
a
off
unique
yet.
experience. And that's the true magic of video games, and that's why I love making
Like, usually it's like the same quest, but different characters, or characters are removed.
Welcome
Oh, Jesus
back, everybody,
Christ.
and I hope you
Holy-
agree that was worth the wait. Now, the best news is that we are just getting started tonight. And first things first, Dominica, that trailer.
How long
I know, right?
do we have to see
And for
these
our Polish
two
community out
fucking
there, good news, we will be dropping
irritating
Polish version of
people
the trailer,
talk to a
Polish
camera? Because I'm
dubbing
sorry, they're
on
super
our social
irritating to
media
me.
channels right after the stream, so keep an eye on them.
If it's
a lot of people are
more
gonna wanna
people
rewatch that
talking than
trailer, so I bet
gameplay
that they're
or
really happy,
development
but
shit,
We've got a lot to unpack.
that's a
right?
problem.
So,
and the
you
two
mentioned
talking, these two
before
talking,
the trailer
that's
actually
not
says
what people want to
info
fucking
for the
see.
game.
Like, give
So
me the
everything we all
game.
just saw, that happens before the game starts.
Yeah,
Give
so the
me
cinematic
the game.
takes place 2 years before the events from the game. So 2 years before Cohen, our main protagonist, becomes a Dawnwalker.
Okay.
So you can see that in the CGI, he's still very young. He's very, inexperienced. You see
Okay.
that innocence in him.
I don't
right?
need them
But
explaining the world
that's
to me and
going to
explaining the
change.
character to me.
world
What
is going
that
to
tells
change
me,
drastically for him.
if
He'll
that's
need
the
to grow
case,
up. He'll need to
this
mature a
game
bit.
is not being released
So
this
you
year
will
or
see
even
it in
next
the
year.
other
It's
game
probably going to be
assets. It looks a
released
bit different.
maybe
I
2027
wonder
at
why he
best.
looked so much younger. Clearly, Cohen has had a rough.
I could be
couple of
completely
years.
wrong on
I
that.
can't wait to
But
work
like,
out what
they're
happened
not
between.
showing a lot of
I think it's gonna be
gameplay,
pretty
and to me,
exciting.
that screams that's a
Now,
problem.
But we didn't just meet Cohen, right? We met his younger sister Lunka as well. But in the video we just saw, Conrad mentioned that she was healed. So does that mean she wasn't turned into a vampire then?
No, Lunka was indeed healed from the plague, the Black Death, by Brancis, this old vampire, leader of the vampire clique. And turning humans into vampires works a bit differently in our game.
So she's just
But
healed.
we actually have another duo of devs who are going to talk about it in a moment.
Okay, well then I won't steal their thunder. I'll let
If
them
this is
explain
just
it,
them
but I
talking,
guess what I should ask is,
and then more devs
what
just
is a
talking,
Dawnwalker then?
That is such a loaded question. So many layers to it, honestly. Okay, but so
This
the
is a poor
basic premise
presentation.
It's like this. Dawnwalkers look like humans during the day, but they turn into vampires after dusk. But they're not actually humans and they're not actually vampires. They are something in between.
Okay, very
Well, I like the concept.
I love it.
A human during the day and a vampire at night. That actually has kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, it is.
Because, like,
completely
if there's a
original.
night and day
And
cycle,
I think this is what
then when you
actually
go
makes
night,
this
you
project
become a
really
vampire. So
special
your
for us.
movesets could
Because it's a
completely change.
crafted universe,
Or at least
of
you
course,
get
rooted
access
in
to
real
abilities you
history,
didn't have during the
inspired by
day,
some
and maybe
myths
even vice
legends,
versa.
But essentially built by our team from the ground up.
So that's a cool idea. I like what I'm hearing. I'm just not seeing it. God damn it! I want to see it. Show me the fucking gameplay.
It's so exciting for us as well.
At this point, show me fucking concept
talk
art.
about this all day, but we should move on and talk about the art of Dawnwalker, the world and
Yeah, show me. All right, let's get back to this.
Jana Sierkiewicz and our creative director, Mateusz Tomasz.
So I'm going to start skimming ahead on this because I'm getting a little frustrated with the little bit I skimmed ahead already. Or at least just checking the pictures. It's just people talking.
Then I love storytelling myself. Since I can remember telling stories through images is
So I want to try to find the spots that actually have gameplay because that's all I really like. I want to see it. The talking's great, but it's a poor
I think my
choice.
favorite location for that is the cathedral. During the daytime, it's that monument.
See, it's just concept art. Like, I mean, I want concept art.
And then as soon as the sun starts setting in and the streets clear.
Our vampires
But like,
grow throughout
I don't give
their
a shit about them
lives.
walking
The
through
older
this
the
place and
vampire, the
talking
more
to
teeth
each
they
other.
have.
This is
So instead of two sharp teeth, they have a series of
they don't know their
claws.
audience very well, in my
Densely grown
opinion.
from their jaws, often emerging from different parts of their skull as they age.
See, this is the kind of stuff I would be willing to see as they were
The
talking like they
vampire
are.
use them to create another vampire. And the mechanism is very simple. The vampire pulls out his fang and drives it into the heart of its victim.
Lovely.
So what's interesting is that our vampire's teeth aren't visible at first. They can extend as the mouth opens, and it looks really creepy.
Yeah, I still remember the first time that the animations came through from the character art team, showing the mouth opening and the teeth growing, and it was absolutely disgusting. I loved every bit of it.
Are we going to get to see it?
So Cohen's Argyria, the silver poisoning he got when he was working in the mines, is both a blessing and a curse. Because on one hand, it weakens him. On the other,
should have remained closed. Kobolds that used to only prey on miners going way too deep into the mines, or even Uriashes, who used to live high up in the mountains, secluded, and now they are in Brent's troops.
yeah,
Like, I get the world building, but like they're trying to do
Oh, yeah,
too
they
much
all
world
have their
building
own
before the game
separate
comes out.
cultures and-
You need to let your
Well, if
players
you want to deal
organically
with them,
experience
I
that.
would kinda like to you should get to know them a bit, or else you might get tricked.
Like
because
skimming ahead
they
of
all
this
have their
whole
own
section,
goals,
it's just the two of
aspirations
them
now that they came
talking
out of
as
the
they walk
shadows
through this
in Brent's
area.
wake.
it's a source of a lot of tension, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of tension. Some of them can cooperate with humans, but mostly it's just new issues, new problems nobody had to deal with before.
But I think this is great because...
And this
all of
is
that
the
tension,
character
all of
world
these
building and
problems are
gameplay
great,
systems.
Storytelling material for us, for
Yes.
building all of that content. For example, Brent says he had to normalize this thing for the humanity, convince everyone this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And the way he did this was, first of all, there was a lot of social turmoil. And on the other hand, a lot of deeply held religious beliefs. And he twisted them. He turned himself into this messianic figure. So, for example, he introduced these blood masses where he feeds a human vampire blood, right? And at the same time, they have these other things like punishing criminals with draining them dry.
Yeah, but well, some people actually like it because once Brancis came in, he set up a new order of things. He finally.
So
got
he
down to
comes in, he
business,
takes over
and
this
then he
this
locked the
little
valley
quiet
up
mountain
so that
town.
nobody can touch it. No outside influence can touch it.
And he
well,
rules through
some
his
others
power,
did not
right? So
like
he
it so
rules
much,
through giving
and
people
they
blood, taking
began
their blood
to
away,
into the depths.
gives
of
them
forgotten
magic, all that kind of,
stuff like that.
that kind of stuff.
So
But
either way you look at it, the Veil Sangora will never be...
like, I would love to see concept art
A chance.
as they're like they can switch back and forth. I'm sorry, I'm not to say that I think I
It's a
could do
lot of
better,
world
but like
building, isn't it?
a little better direction would be
There
like
are
concept
so
art
many
right
things
now
we need
of
to
like
remember, to
how the
make
animations
it a
work
cohesive
or what the
whole.
cathedral looks like
And
as
at
they're
the
doing
same
the
time,
mass.
we have
Like
the challenges posed by the open world itself, because There's a risk of the content being formulaic or repetitive. We handcraft all of it, and we focus on telling these unique themes we really care about.
Oh yeah, we want to talk about loss, about the meaning of family, about opposing tyranny, about trying to coexist with creatures you've never had to coexist with before.
Well, but that would be difficult to do with just Cohen and Brensis, right?
Impossible, actually. We had to create a whole host of characters, and we really
Like an
wanted to
RPG,
avoid
right?
having cardboard cutouts, like without motivations, without backgrounds, goals, and ambitions. But you know, when you meet those characters, your goals and ambitions may overlap, and you befriend them. Or it might be the opposite, and you go on a warpath with them. But, you know, given the goal that you have ahead of you, it might be good to have some friends.
The concept seems awesome. It really does. It's the problem is, like I said, is they're just not showing anything. It's a lot of talk.
And go storm the castle. But, you know, it might be wise to, for instance, find the rebel cell and try to dismantle Brensis' rule with them. Or, I don't know, listen to what an agent from outside of Bales and Gora has to say.
Which is exactly why I love how we structured the game, because we offer a lot of choice in which characters do you want to interact with, which you might want to skip altogether. And also on top of that, you have this layer of non-linearities where you can decide their fates, but also the fate of Cohen and his family.
Yeah, and I really like that because it gives us so much
I am curious on how much your actions will actually affect the world around you and the other characters.
On top of that, you know,
all these game developers make these grandiose claims that it's going to affect the outcome of the game, it's going to affect how things go. Now, having one of the developers from The Witcher 3 on this gives me hope.
On top of that, we also have a number of really cool gameplay systems that further feed into the narrative.
Let's hear about the gameplay systems.
And speaking of feeding, my favorite one is the blood hunger. It lets me play a real vampire. I don't just have to drink blood to use my cool abilities in combat, but if I talk to someone without feeding first, I might just lose control and I might eat them.
I think that's actually a really smart move as a vampire. Like, the bloodlust should take over.
My best friend. And I will break my heart, and I will break my quests.
Yeah, so you better keep him well fed.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a fave?
Yeah, I really enjoy the ones that are revolving around Brensis, because, like, it makes him this active antagonist. You know, this means that he will basically react to what Cohen is doing. He will pass these edicts that will hinder your path. So, for example, he might set up military checkpoints that will be on your way.
That changes the world, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, it's not just him running the show. It's also his 3 powerful vampire allies.
Yeah, when I saw them in CGI, that was such a hype moment. Finally animated, voiced, and just loved it.
Yeah, and on top of being cool characters, they also have their own, like, spheres of influence, and you get to dismantle their organization step by step, making it simpler for you to...
So it sounds like it's going to have kind of like a Fallout 4 vibe, where you go at each lieutenant, basically, individually, to get to the main guy.
You complete an objective, or you complete a quest, time moves forward.
Yeah, but what I really like about this also is it's not like real time. You actually get to control how much of this resource you want to spend, right?
Yeah, you have to manage it wisely, but if you just want to enjoy the view or just take a stroll, you can without stress. But once you get down to business, you have to do it smart.
Yeah, so I think all of these things combined, handmade quests and...
So they're talking about time as if, so they say every time you complete something,
unique experience.
Yeah,
time advances.
I cannot wait to see what shenanigans players will get up to playing with those systems. I will be there watching it.
Same.
As you can imagine, last 2 years were really intense for us. I want to thank the whole Rebels pack. You are the best, and it's a privilege to work with you. The Blood of Dawnwalker is a very special game for us.
Are they going to announce a release date?
It's first, truly ours. What you have seen so far is only the beginning. In upcoming months, we will share more with you. But for now, I have one more surprise for you.
Okay, I don't care for this. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't need to hear these guys play a song. They're very very talented, obviously. And I get what they're doing. They're trying to make the music, the game music and stuff. But they didn't read the room. So is this actual gameplay? The world needs what it fears. Okay, this is obviously in game. Okay. Okay, so we are actually getting gameplay. Alpha in-engine footage. Okay, so it's in alpha right now, would be my assumption. That's a very short, brief clip of the gameplay. Which tells me they're still in alpha, which means they're not even close to release. Gameplay reveal summer of 2025.
And we are back. And wow, to detail all
RPG feel, you know, and we will
share with you tonight.
Okay, so here's the deal. The concept looks fucking amazing. I like the concept where you're like this half human, half vampire. Human during the day, vampire during the night. The systems in place where the vampires can manipulate the world around you and react to what you do. That's a really cool idea. But the trailer's not on point, or the whole presentation was not on point at all. Oops, I went too far. I need to go back one.
with our writer.
So a lot of people are claiming like Blood Omen 2, The Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah, I get that vibe. The problem is we didn't get enough gameplay to know what's what. Like, it's kind of sad, actually. It should have had a lot more gameplay in it and concept art, and they should have talked a lot more about the mechanics and the systems. Like, they didn't. So to be honest with you, the concept of the game, I'm going to give it like a 3. It sounds pretty damn good. Not going to lie. I'll give it a 3.5. I'll give it a 3.5. 3.5 out of 5. That's what the concept of the game is going to get. The actual presentation itself is getting like a fucking 2. Okay, not even a 2. It's getting a 1. It gets a 1 because it didn't show enough to make it worthwhile, in my opinion. For a 45-minute presentation, which I skipped through a lot of it because it was just people fucking talking, it didn't get enough. Gameplay, they just talked. They did a bunch of talking, which talking tells me they don't have actual gameplay to show yet. So it says they wanted to reveal it, probably because they got pushed into doing it by the publisher, which I understand. They wanted to get people excited for it, but like, I don't understand why they didn't show more gameplay, why they didn't show more concept art. So that's my thoughts on this one. It has a lot of promise. We didn't really see enough to know one way or the other. So we'll see, right? We'll see what happens next. That has been the game reveal event of The Blood of Dawnwalker. And we will catch you guys on the next one.